What if I told you that Lewis Hamilton's biggest fight this season is not against Max Verstappen, Charles Leclerc, or Lando Norris, but against something far more dangerous and invisible inside Ferrari itself? Data doesn't lie, and telemetry has revealed that Hamilton is not just being held back by rivals on track, but by the very voice that should be guiding him to victory, his own race engineer, Riccardo Adami. The story Ferrari wants the world to believe is that Hamilton simply needs more time to adapt to the car and the culture. That's the official line, repeated in press briefings and paddock whispers. But behind closed doors, another reality is taking shape. Hamilton's driving style, his setup feedback, and his proven expertise are being filtered, blocked, or outright reversed. Instead of enabling the 7-time world champion, his supposed lifeline on the radio has become a barrier. Adami, who once represented stability in Ferrari's garage, is now the face of resistance. This is not about bad communication. It's about politics, trust, and control. Ferrari's history is littered with internal power struggles, and Hamilton has walked straight into the middle of one. The telemetry exposes it clearly. Hamilton prefers precise brake migration settings, sharper steering response, and detailed management of tyre degradation. His inputs make the car faster and kinder to the tyres, yet those choices are often overwritten or delayed. At Spa and Imola, his tyre management was clearly superior. In Hungary, despite being underfueled, Hamilton's pace was stronger over the long runs. At Spa, his degradation control was so precise he should have been celebrated as the difference maker, yet Ferrari downplayed it. The numbers are clear. Hamilton's data proves he is faster when the car actually reflects his input. But why is Ferrari ignoring it? That's where the conflict with Adami comes in. Their relationship has grown increasingly strained. In Monaco, after a tense exchange, Hamilton asked, "Are you upset with me?" and was met with radio silence. In Miami, after another vague instruction about protecting tyres, Hamilton half-joked that it sounded like his engineer was on a tea break. These are not just harmless missteps. They reveal a growing disconnect. Insiders whisper that this is not simple miscommunication but resistance. Team radio controversies, Ferrari strategy mistakes, communication breakdowns, Formula One politics. They all merge here in one story. Within Maranello, a deeper divide is emerging. Old guard engineers still loyal to Leclerc's style resist Hamilton's more aggressive setups. There is fear that if Hamilton's data dominates, Leclerc's status will crumble. Adami himself is said to be torn, slowly shifting under pressure, but not fully committed. It's not sabotage in the open, it's sabotage by tradition. And Ferrari has always struggled with balancing ego, loyalty, and cold performance. The races expose this rift like a spotlight. In Monaco, Hamilton's requests were ignored as silence reigned. In Hungary, the setup changes that favoured Leclerc still couldn't hide Hamilton's superior long-run pace. At Spa, where his tyre degradation control was undeniable, Ferrari muted his achievement in public statements. The pattern is unmistakable. Hamilton speaks, the team stalls, performance gets wasted, and Leclerc benefits. Ferrari's internal leaks describe it bluntly. Feedback is filtered, data delayed, strategy framed to protect the golden boy. Yet Spa and Imola provided moments that scared Ferrari. In both races, Hamilton overtook Leclerc cleanly. The telemetry from his preferred setups outperformed Ferrari's baseline philosophy. The engineers were forced to run Hamilton's data in parallel with Leclerc's inside the simulator. Insiders put it sharply. The data scared them because it was undeniable. When numbers clash with hierarchy, only one survives. And at Ferrari, hierarchy has always had more weight than proof. This tension has now crystallized into a political battle. Hamilton represents data-driven precision, the experience of a 7-time champion who knows how to extract every fraction of performance. Leclerc, meanwhile, is the emotional favorite, the face of Ferrari's future, the chosen one who represents tradition and hope. The engineers are split. Some are drifting toward Hamilton because the data leaves no room for denial, while others cling to Leclerc's camp because loyalty and image matter in Maranello's politics. This Ferrari power struggle is not just about lap times, it is about identity, favoritism, and trust. If Ferrari cannot make the right choice, they risk sabotaging not only their championship hopes, but also the very bond inside the team that makes champions possible. A turning point came after Spa when Hamilton did something rare. He openly called out Ferrari's fuel miscalculation. He did not frame it as blame, but as exposure. proof that mistakes were costing results. That moment forced Ferrari to act. Hamilton suddenly had earlier access to strategy simulations. His feedback began shaping torque delivery, brake bias, and throttle mapping. Quietly, but significantly, Adami began supporting Hamilton's requests more directly. Hamilton isn't demanding control, he is earning it, one piece of data at a time. The quiet shift has created an extraordinary dynamic inside Ferrari. It now looks like two teams in one. On one side is Hamilton's camp, built on analysis, numbers, and efficiency. On the other is Leclerc's camp, built on instinct, tradition, and favoritism. Engineers are subtly changing sides, giving Hamilton's requests more weight. Leclerc, for the first time, feels sidelined, asking to oversee Hamilton's changes and understand why his setups are suddenly carrying more influence. Insiders describe the tension as a quiet civil war, and now all roads lead to Monza, Ferrari's cathedral of speed, their spiritual home, the one race where unity matters most. The Tifosi will roar for Ferrari, but what they may witness is a team divided. On one side, Hamilton's setups promise performance and control. On the other, Leclerc's philosophy represents pride and legacy. Ferrari will be forced to choose, not in words, but in actions on track. The question hangs in the air. Will Ferrari finally trust the data, or will pride cost them everything at Monza? Because this is no longer about adaptation. It is about trust. Hamilton's data proves he is not the problem. Ferrari's walls are. And if those walls do not fall, Ferrari risks losing not just podiums, but its very soul. At Monza, one driver will own the narrative. The only question is whether it will be written in numbers or in silence. Ferrari's struggle with Hamilton is not just about one season, it's part of a cultural legacy. This team has always wrestled with balancing star drivers against its own traditions. Michael Schumacher built his era on trust and collaboration, reshaping Ferrari into a data-driven machine. After his departure, Ferrari tried to replicate success with Fernando Alonso and Sebastian Vettel, but politics and hesitation always pulled them back. Hamilton's arrival represents both an opportunity and a threat. He brings unmatched experience and precision, but his presence disrupts the hierarchy that Maranello has carefully built around Leclerc. Insiders compare it to Alonso's battles with the Ferrari establishment, but with one critical difference. Hamilton's data is too strong to dismiss. Every graph, every stint, every lap proves his methods work. For an older generation of fans, this struggle feels familiar. Ferrari has always been torn between passion and precision, between honouring tradition and embracing cold, hard numbers. The danger is that the same mistakes could repeat. If Ferrari silences Hamilton in favour of pride, they may squander another era of potential glory. Yet, if they embrace his precision, they risk upsetting the chosen hierarchy. This is why Monza looms so large. It is not just a race. It is a referendum on Ferrari's soul. Will they back the driver who delivers proof with every lap, or cling to the golden boy whose image protects tradition? The stakes could not be higher, because if Ferrari gets this wrong, they risk not only losing the championship fight, but also alienating the man who could bring them back to greatness. The whispers from inside Maranello say it best. Hamilton isn't demanding Ferrari to change. He is forcing them to see reality, and reality is relentless. Numbers don't lie. Data does not care about loyalty or pride. It only reveals the truth. At Monza, with the world watching, Ferrari will have to decide whether they trust their champion's evidence or whether they continue to let politics steer their destiny. In that moment, the narrative will belong to one man. And for Ferrari, the cost of choosing wrong could echo for years to come.